been going on for so long. It is such a toxic and such a painful issue for Cypriots. Cypriots are people who love their families and who were confronted with such violence during these two periods, 63, 64, and 74, and so many people went missing, and it has created such a trauma. I have two feelings. One is proud. I'm proud of our scientists who have done an amazing work in these 10 years. They have exhumed more than 1,100 missing persons, and they have identified 743 persons. So we found about 55% of the people who went missing in the two periods, 63, 64, and 74, and we've identified from them about 33%. That's a remarkable result in 10 years. I have mixed feelings for the period before that. The period from 1974 up to, or let's say 1981, when the CMP was created, 1981 up to 2007, 2006, when we started our operations. Because during that time, there was no political will on both sides to recover the remains, identify them, and return them. There was only investigations being carried out. The CMP was not an operational organization during these 25 years. It was mainly doing a list of missing persons, negotiating, submitting information. Have you got any information on the fate of Mr. So-and-so? But this did not help much to solve cases, because with missing persons, the only proof of the disappearance is the body. So the politicians could have taken less than 25 years to decide for this program of exhumation, recovery and return of remains. It would have helped families. It would have spared many, many years of pain for many families. Now we have a political will since 10 years. We have this political will on both sides, with the two leaders, with the administrations. There is a will to move as fast as possible. Everybody recognizes that we are under a huge pressure of time pressure. Because families are getting very old, witnesses are dying, are passing away. Last year we had one case of an old lady who helped us. She was a shepherd, and she helped us find the remains of 35 missing persons in Nicosia, because she remembered the area plot by plot very, very intensely. And she was afraid all these years to speak, because when the people were killed, they saw her and they ran after her, the perpetrators. So all her life, for 40 years, she was afraid to speak. Before dying, she decided to talk. And she talked to us and died 6 months later. Her story is told in the book that we published 6 months ago, in the first story. And she was 95. So that is the pressure of time that we are under. We have to accelerate as much as we can our work to improve the results, because it's getting more difficult every day. So what we have done now, we have just finalized a 4-year strategy, 2017-2020, to bring to our donors, mostly to the European Union, who is our main donor, with 80%, 75% of all funds given to the CMP, but also to 14 other donors. And we have, in this strategy, identified our major challenges. And the major challenge is the pressure of time and the necessity to improve the quality of investigation. Right now we have, out of 10 places that we dig, we have about 2 places that contain remains, 20%. 80% we dig for nothing. Why? Because construction has been going on and has changed totally the landscape. You had 50 years ago or 40 years ago, you had 3 olive trees. Now you have a supermarket, or you have roads. So over-construction is a problem. The loss of memory is another problem. So we have identified in this strategy ways to access to better information on burial sites. One is a huge effort that we will start this year on archives of 11 countries that had a presence on the ground, national or international, during the conflict or before or after, in the framework of UNFICYP, plus 2 international organizations, the International Red Cross, the ICRC, and the UN. We will go through, we have sent démarches to all these countries and all these organizations, and for the countries they will do the research themselves, including in Athens and in Turkey, or for Turkish archives that are present in Cyprus. And for the international organizations, we will do that ourselves, the UN in Nicosia and in New York, and the ICRC in Geneva. So that's going to be an effort aiming at finding traces in reports, mostly at field level, of bodies that were transferred, bodies that were buried. An UNFICYP soldier that may have found 5 bodies on the road and brought them to a cemetery. This information didn't go, in political reports. It stayed at military level in field reports. That's where we need to find this information. In which cemetery was these bodies brought? Which plot of the cemetery, etc. Very, very long. We think that it will take us a year or 2 to complete this research. On the other hand, we will improve our investigative capability by digitizing our entire archives in the 3 offices, the Turkish Cypriot, the Greek Cypriot, and the UN Third Member's Office. We will also invest in new technologies like ground-penetrating radars, any GIS, geographic information systems, new technologies that may also help to discover or to recover remains better. The burial sites, there is a difficulty with the pattern. At the beginning, we did the big sites, the mass graves, the big sites that contain 10 to 30 or 50 sets of remains. Now we are more confronted with smaller burial sites, which are more difficult to find. We have on our excavation list we have worked for throughout 2017. We have more than 100. We do about 110 sites per year, and right now we have more than that on our list. More than that, 130 places that we have on our list. So we still have enough work, and this is constantly updated with new information. Every week information comes from witnesses or from the 2 offices of the CMP. The Greek Cypriot member looks for Turkish Cypriots mostly, and the Turkish Cypriot member in the north looks for Greek Cypriots mostly. So they exchange information during our weekly CMP meetings with members, and this information is being processed, and when found credible, when it cross-checks with other sources, we put that information on our excavation list, and then we excavate. That is what we have been doing now with regard to Turkish military areas for 2 years. We have come to a situation where Turkey agreed in 2015, in November 2015, to increase by 300% the number of places given to the CMP. It has happened. Until 2015, they were giving us access to 2 or 3 military areas per year in the north, one after the other. This was too little and too slow. So the UN at high level, at my demand, at my request, and also the Turkish Cypriot member, had contacts with Turkey, and they took a decision in 2015, November, to give a clearance for 30 plus military areas. We are now at 35 over the period of 3 years. So that is from 3 per year to 10 per year. That is a 300% increase. And in 2016, we did the 10 for 2016. Now in January 2017, we start the 10. Actually, there will be 11 for 2017, 11 places in military areas. So that has happened. The result is not as promising as we hoped. We found less than 10 individuals in these first 10 sites. in 2016, but still it was a breakthrough in 2016 to obtain this agreement. It accelerated the access to military areas. I prefer not to give any information on areas, because otherwise people go and they want to look and they want to, and that creates a problem. So I would rather not disclose which areas, but we have started in January excavation in military areas again. Going on for so long. It is such a toxic and such a painful issue for Cypriots. Cypriots are people who love their families and who were confronted with such violence during these two periods, 63, 64 and 74, and so many people went missing, and it has created such a trauma. I believe, like in other countries, that if you don't remove this obstacle, it will be very difficult to reach true reconciliation. Because what does it mean, reconciliation? It's not just a political settlement. Reconciliation means to restore trust. How can I trust you if my father was killed? So that's, or if my father didn't come home for dinner, for 40 or 50 years. How can I restore the trust? So our work helps person by person, missing person by missing person, to transform public anger into private mourning. People go, once they have a grave, they can go to that grave, and their anger becomes mourning, and the wound is finally closing. With a scar, but it's finally closing. And that's our contribution to make Cyprus a place with a better future than its very, very sad, tragic past. So my feeling is that this work is very useful. It is painstakingly slow and expensive. We have to find every year 3.1 million euro. The EU gives us 75% of that, gives us 2.6 million these last few years. But we still have to find, this year, 2017, we're looking for 500,000 euros, and we need them. So far we have pledges for 230,000 euros from two countries. We still look for 270,000. And that will be difficult. And I take the occasion of this interview to make an appeal to governments and countries who support the CMP to give us money now, because we are hopefully, in a final push, a few more years to solve this problem once for all, because the future of Cyprus depends on that also.